All right, this is Tim Cain making a demo, which I usually say should be your vertical slice, although demo can mean a lot of things. I only mean it as vertical slice because I think that is the best thing that you can show off. And we played it. We played it. I know we haven't even started the video yet, right? People on YouTube are probably going to be hating me. What was the game that we played on Steam Next Fest? You guys remember that? Let me look at my recent plays. Throwing on Liberty. Mandragora, that was it. Thank you, Tramox. You are way better than me at that. Mandragora. We played that recently. I would recommend anybody to go play that demo if they like action RPGs, Metroidvanias. This was a perfect demo. Perfect vertical slice. Interesting. Pretty well balanced. Great production value. Nothing placeholder that I could see. Great voice acting. Really fun. Very, very well made. I could not recommend this more. To me, when I think of making a demo, that should be along with other games, should be your golden standard. And it's not easy to make. It is not easy to get to that point. It requires a lot of skill, a lot of time, and a lot of money. But that's exactly what it should be. That's how you make that perfect first impression, where I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know how this game is going to be. I play it, and I'm astounded. Pretty much vertical slice, how the end product will be, but just a small slice. Exactly. That's why I say make your vertical slice your demo, and you won't have anything to worry about unless your game is shit.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Today I want to talk about making a demo.
Yeah.
I've probably said that phrase in so many other videos, but I'm constantly asked, even now it's been over a year since I've been doing this channel, and I'm still asked, hey Tim, how can I get a job in the industry? Despite there being a video titled How to Get a Job in the Game Industry.
How do you get a job in the game industry? Pray to Jesus, sacrifice absolutely every single physical possession you have, give up all of your sleep and free time and sense of stability, and even then you will have a very tiny chance. I don't want to say it. I have to say it because that is just what it is. Do game dev as a hobby and you'll... Yes, in fact, you're right. Don't do it and then do game dev as a hobby.
Which I'll link below. In fact, all the videos I mentioned, I'm going to link below. And I always answer the same thing, make a demo. Tim, should I go to school? Make a demo. Hey, what if I'm self-taught? Make a demo. Hey, is it...
He's 100% right. I don't want to shit on people who are doing game dev as in like a college or university, okay? I'm not going to shit on you, but just know that piece of paper you get is actually worth less than a package of tissues, okay? Because it doesn't really mean anything. And if people are hiring you, they're not going to want to see, oh, you went to university for game design and development and you passed with a GPA of 3 point, go fuck yourself. I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It doesn't mean anything. We need somebody who can make games. What games have you made? We need somebody who works well in a team. When have you worked in a team? That's what you need to prove. And yeah, making a demo, doing game jams, that's what you need to do. If you want to get into game development, do those two things. Learn as much as you can, shove the ego down your throat, and never let it be regurgitated like a baby bird. Make games, work in teams, work with people, network. It's who you know, who you can get in contact with, because a lot of times when you get a job in game dev, it's from people that you know. It's somebody who referred you and said, yeah, I worked with this person. They were really good. Hire them. Usually means they can take you as an intern and not pay you anything, at least in Poland. Yeah, there's a lot of that, right? Being fresh at university is a downside nowadays? I think so. Look, just make games. You don't need to go to university to make games. There are more than enough tutorials. There are streams like this one. There are books if you really like to learn from books. You can just get all that for free or for a lot cheaper and a lot quicker than going to school and doing 2 classes that matter and then 5 classes that you have to do because the university forces you to take psychology or English 101, which, I mean, it would be nice if you learned how to speak and read, but, don't do this. Do this. Do 7 times. Well, you know what I mean. Do all of this. Spend all your time focusing on game dev because that's what you're going to do. And worry about the other stuff less. Worry about it less. And you know what? You'll save money. You'll be more dedicated. You'll be working with people. You'll make games. And when somebody who's going to be hiring people in the future, takes a look at your resume, I'm going to say, education? Pff, who the fuck cares? What have you made? Okay, you started as a modder, and then you got into game jams. Okay, you have links. Let me go see. Okay, yeah, your first game didn't finish, and it was kind of shit, but then second game was a little bit better. Third's a bit better. Oh, and then you started to make something, and you actually completed a game jam. That's awesome. And then, okay, and then you're looking for your first job in the industry. I see growth. I see a journey. I see somebody who is passionate about what they do and didn't just prop up their experience on this 4-year journey that they had and paid a lot of money for, and now they don't really know how to use Unreal Engine, or they're expecting to earn this amazing spot in my company, but they've never actually made anything. First thing they ask is how many years of experience you have. Yes, but just know years of experience does not necessarily mean years of professional experience. Most people worth their salt in game dev will consider modding, hobby development, game jams as experience. All they want to see is, have you made something? It's just harder to quantify that, right? Like, we need somebody who's made at least 2 mods, or has participated in at least 3 game jams, or released 1 game it's like, you can't do this. So we say years of experience because we just want to see that you have dedicated yourself to actually creating. It doesn't have to be finished. Don't be embarrassed. If you can show that you've made a journey, that matters a lot more to most people who are going to be looking at your resume than if it's that you haven't shown anything on your resume because you haven't actually completed a game. It doesn't matter. Most people can complete games themselves. You're not being hired at a company to make an entire game on your own. You're being hired to perform in a team and do your part and your specialization and help create the game with other people. Showcase that. Showcase that you know how to work in a team and that you are specialized in something, even if you wear multiple hats, because that's what you're being hired to do. I want to sound like an asshole, but the things you got taught in uni, especially in the art space, is more like a pattern that everyone else who does university will follow, and that makes you inside of a certain box. People who are hired don't really want that. You have to somehow stand out. You do, and you do that by experimenting yourself and not being tied down to certain boundaries. Absolutely. Look at education. When I hire, my experience is that an education in that field usually comes with a lot of unnecessary filler and less relevant experience. I would much rather see what they've created, what they're passionate about, even if it's not complete. Show me what you got. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I also just discard it. I'm like, I don't care. And especially, I also say, I will read your cover letters. I want you to tell me, why are you passionate about game dev? What is your journey? I don't necessarily want to see you write about, I'm the perfect fit for this job because I've done this and this. No, I can see that in your CV. Like, that's what your CV is for, to show why you're a perfect fit for this job. I want to know, why do you want to work with us? What is your journey? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this? Are you looking for 2 years of experience and then moving on to something else? I don't really want to hire you if that's the case, right? Or maybe not necessarily over somebody who is like, I like what you stand for. I like the games that you're trying to make. And I love doing this. I want to be a feature owner for these kinds of things because that's what I'm passionate about. Great. That's what I want to see in your cover letter. Some employers will focus too much on experience as being proof. One thing that university tell me is that you can mostly follow something until the end, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. I like money, please hire me. Hey, for some people, that is the motivator. I don't think I'm going to hire people who that's your primary motivator, but there are a lot of people that I've worked with that is their primary motivator. It's just money. But no, I agree. I think that experience as proof is kind of, people can learn fast. And people who have made it reasonably far in game dev usually are fast learners. Usually. If they are missing something specific, I don't really care. What I care more is is this person going to fit within my team? Are they going to be somebody who can swallow their ego and pride when they need to? Are they fast learners? And are they passionate enough about what we're doing that I think that they can bring something unique to the table if I were to give them that freedom? Best decision was to follow you tonight. Thank you so much, Parkex. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It really means a lot. I don't think I'm that special, but I appreciate that. My favorite was the company that required 5 years of experience with some framework and rejected a candidate because he only had 2 years of experience, seeing as he created the framework 2 years prior. He didn't feel like he could have more experience than what was his own framework. I have a good example. I'm not going to tell you their name, but a close friend of mine has been in the industry for a while, and they have quite a lot of experience. They were recently denied a job because they didn't have the right number of years, but they had all of the necessary experience that they were looking for in that job, like all the necessary skills in the job they were being hired for. And they were specifically told, we're denying you because you don't have enough years of experience. What? Plus 3D, thank you so much for the Prime sub.
BLSS 3D podkreślenie G just subscribed.
Thank you, Polish text-to-speech. I appreciate the good old seniority card. It was exactly that. I feel they were frustrated. I feel frustrated for them. What a horrible experience. And you know what? I think they dodged a bullet not working there. Love the Polish flavor. Okay, we are 30 seconds into this, and I think I've already spent 20 minutes talking about game dev, but we need to go back to, we're talking about demos. Let's go talk about demos.
Is there something, how do I learn best how to make a demo? The answer is almost always make a demo.
Make
when
anything.
It's not money, it's make a demo.
Yeah.
Those are probably the two biggest things you can walk away from my channel. What will help you make a good game? Money and making demo. So let me talk about,
He's not wrong,
in detail, making a demo. So now I can link people to this one. But before I start, I'm going to tell a story because I like telling stories. You're going to wonder why I'm saying this, but trust me, I'll wrap it all together in a fairly neat little
I'm into it.
Story ball.
I like balls.
So I'm the last of 5 kids. So I'm kid 5 of 5 kids.
I didn't know
My
that.
mom and dad had 5 kids. The first 3 are all 2 years apart. Then there is a 6-year gap, and then there's 2 more kids 2 years apart. I'm kid 5.
Wow.
When we were young, we used to try to figure out which one of us was mom's favorite. And we could never figure it out because my mom, she loved all of us. She loved us all equally, but we were very different kids. Very different. We had athlete kids and cheerleader kid and architect kid, game kid. So my mom loved all of us equally and loved encouraging our
passions and
hobbies.
Stuff, right? Yeah.
But we'd often sit around and go, hey, this is why I think I'm mom's favorite. Kid 1 would often say, I'm the first kid. I'm the one they poured most of the love into. I got the best genes. Of course, second kid would go, if you got the best genes, why did you pick those? Those are some awful genes you picked. Of course, the third kid would,
the reason that parents I only have one brother, so I can only say this, but I believe that in a household of 5 kids, the reason that parents spend the most on the firstborn is so that they can have good things to pass down to the other kids. And I promise, anything that kid, in your case, I think you guys would see it this way, kid 1, anything that they get is going to be passed down, right? The good genes, he means like blue genes, right? It's going to be passed down, passed down, passed down, and passed down until it just is destroyed. Because why would you buy 5 separate things when you'll have kid 1 who is this big and then kid 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Where all those kids are going to grow up to be the same size. The firstborn will raise the others too, yeah. I think I think a good mother would honestly say that they love their children equally, and I think that would just be true in most cases for a good mother. But there is a logic, an adult logic behind certain forms of favoritism for the firstborn that makes it a lot easier to parent for the rest of the kids. And I can't blame it. Maybe there is. I don't know. They'll never admit it though, right? But I can understand the logic behind certain favoritism or certain amounts of resources being spent on the oldest and the biggest, because it's all going to get passed on anyway, and you can save a hell of a lot of money and time by making sure that they're kitted out. I'm not my mom's favorite kid, and I'm an only child. I'm clicking resume now.
I would just go, I'm the middle child, I'm being neglected, I'm not going to enter into this conversation. Kid 4 would wait for me to say, I'm kid 5. I'm not only the baby, but I'm the one, when the mom and dad had me, they went, we've achieved perfection, we can stop. That's when kid 4 would say, well,
that's fucking
you don't
funny.
know you've reached the top of the mountain until you start down the other side. Wow. First of all, he's wrong. They know they reached the top. But that actually has a lot
sounds like a fun
of applicability to what I'm going to talk about here, which is you have to actually make things. You actually have to do things. You have to use your skills to find out where your maxima is, where your strength is. Now,
Yes, you do.
I have other videos where I've talked about learning from failure. I'll link it below. And what was important about that was I talked about how doing a bunch of different things helped me hone in on what I was good and bad at. And wasn't always clear. Like I told you, I wrote the intro to Fallout, what the narrator is saying during the introduction. That made me think I was good at writing. Turns out I am not good at writing. I'm good at short form writing. But long form writing, like a novel, a memoir, or dialogue writing, things that require characters going back and forth, I am terrible at. But I didn't know that until I actually tried to do it. And that meant doing a lot of writing.
I have a similar experience where I hate failure, but it's needed. I was deathly afraid of failure when I was after I was vulnerable. I dropped out of high school, and I felt like my dream of becoming a game designer was impossible. And I didn't have there weren't really resources around the time that could help me learn game development. It was still very much just starting to be leaked on the internet. You had developers that would talk about it, but development was very much an elite group of individuals that rarely were ever allowed to talk about the things they're working on, so they didn't really share that information. And YouTube was just getting started, so there wasn't anything like that. There weren't like tutorials on it. So when I dropped out of high school, I felt vulnerable. I felt like my goals were impossible to achieve. Like, how the fuck am I going to become a game designer or game developer if I do this? And I was afraid of failure, so I didn't want to try something because I was afraid that I knew I was going to be bad. I convinced myself I was going to be bad at something, and I struggled with just making a box in Blender at the time. I just couldn't do it. Thank you, Drumox, for the 3-month sub. Thank you so much. 3 months in advance. What the crazy people.
Dramox just subscribed.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. I struggled with making a box, and then I compare this to the games that I loved. And it's like, I can't do this. I tried UV unwrapping, and it was horrible. I hated it. I fucking hated UV unwrapping, and I hated texturing. I never want to do that again. I never ever want to touch that sort of. I'd never want to touch UVs or texturing again. I couldn't do it, but I did at least enjoy the fact that I tried it and I sucked with it. And I can't remember if I did that before programming, but then I jumped over and I made my first ever text RPG in Batch, in DOS, and I still have it. And you know what? I'm still proud of it. Where is it? Where do I have it? I got it somewhere. Old protos. Here it is. Crypts of Woe. Let's see if it has like a day of creation on it. No, it doesn't. But I made a whole text RPG in Batch with a character creation, a pretty complex combat system, and You can make your own character. Yeah, I want to. No, don't want to view the tutorial, but let's make a character. You have attribute points, and you push those into different forms, and you get like bonus to melee damage if we boost up strength a bit. Now we have +1 to melee rolls. Let's get a +2 on melee rolls. +3 on trap breaking rolls. Let's get some speed too. We'll max out the speed. Are these stats acceptable? Yes. And you can like check for secrets and shit. You roll, you find treasure, you can equip the items. I was really happy with this. Or even being able to travel to different rooms and like buy things at a shop. It was great. The skeleton, here's my combat system. I don't know, I liked it and it was great. And it was really cool. It took me, I think, quite a while to make. But this was fun. I liked the logic of it. And I think that's where I really learned, you know what? I like the technical aspect of programming and making games, but I'm not very good at it, and it's not really what I wanted to do as much as game design. But, that helped show me, you know what? This is acceptable. This is okay. I enjoyed this aspect. And you know what? I'm not that bad at it. And so I kept trying to make prototypes of games, and I don't have a lot of them here. But the next game I tried to make was in Unreal. I made this little like dozer clicker game. And this was the first time that I had ever successfully made a game. There are at least 5 failed games that I made before this. But this was the first one that I actually could play and was like, you know what? Yeah, you can do some cool shit finally. Finally, I made this in Unreal Engine 4, whatever. And it was like, okay, I'm starting to learn this shit. So it's like, there's so many failures, but I talk about all these when I showcase my projects on like LinkedIn and I talk about my experience. I proudly show these because this is a journey. The fact that I can create Cauldron Chronicles today is because I went through this struggle. And every single person is going to have to go through this struggle when they make games too. Failure is incredibly important. Your successes are a combination of just perseverance through failure. All the things that you failed at doing, and now you can finally create that one thing that is actually something fresh and something new. Yeah, I'm done clicking on this. Knowing a little bit of everything, it helps to have your own studio to understand what people is doing too, right? Or tell them what you need better, or for a studio, but to understand better the other works. Yes, and especially if you're going to be a game designer or a producer, or if you want to one day become a studio director, if you do not know what other people are doing and what goes into their jobs, you will be much, much worse at your job. So for game designers especially, I would say this because I can speak as a game designer. Be in everybody's shit and do a little bit of everything. Learn how the coders talk. Learn what the coders do. Learn what they have to worry about and learn what they need from you in your game design documents to work better. Same thing for artists. Learn what they do. Learn their terminology, because the easier you can communicate with them, because game design is a communications job, not an ideas job, but a communications job, the better you can help them to create their art and maximize their creativity. There's no shortcuts, not even money. Yeah. Heard artists love UV unwrapping. Some of them do, and they are absolute monsters. And they probably have some mental deficiencies, but you know what? We love them all the same. I'm just kidding. If you love UV unwrapping, good for you. The thing for me is with design is that I love balance. Apparently, most designers hate balancing. I love it. So I guess I'm the crazy one in that regard.
If you want to see examples of this, play Temple of Elemental Evil. I don't think it's going to win any writing awards.
What the 2 regex?
Like The Outer Worlds did, which I didn't write for. I've also talked about, a lot of people say, hey, should I go to school? Should I do this? And I'm always like, whether you go to school or you're self-taught, you should make a demo, and I'll get into that. But I have a whole video about school versus self-taught and what it could do for you. It's okay to skip school if you are motivated enough to make a foundation of knowledge that you can then build all your skills on. And also, you have to be able to self-evaluate. If you're not good at looking at things you do and go, this isn't very good. If you think everything you do is flawless,
you shouldn't be in game dev.
Either you're a super genius or you're not very good at self-evaluation. There's a whole Dunning-Kruger effect thing you can look up.
I also think that if you're not going to go to school, you need to be organized and motivated enough to create your own pathway, right? Because you don't have somebody else creating the lesson plans for you. You don't have somebody saying, "Hey, next lesson we're talking about this and you will learn this." You need to discover that yourself. And it's, for some people they can't do that. For other people they can do that, but it's difficult. Some people are really easy with that. I struggled with that, but at least I was able to learn on my own terms, and the things that I wanted to learn next were up to me. And so I could just kind of chase my interests, get stuck, learn, oftentimes through failure, because again, this was at the start of like Unreal Engine 4 coming out. So there were tutorials, there weren't that many, there weren't many YouTube videos, and it was oftentimes you just had to jump in with the shitty documentation and figure out how to achieve what you wanted to achieve. A lot of reverse engineering, but reverse engineering is kind of like that's my pathway to learning, is taking something and just saying, okay, how does this work? What can I break? Certified super genius, everything I make is flawless. Love it. Leaving school is such an old mind that people in those years were so focused. I think I get along a lot with the older minds in the industry, like Tim Cain, or I met Richard Garriott, is because they were entrepreneurs. That there were no answers. They had to find the answers or make the answers. And these are often people who are very self-motivated, extremely intuitive, and really good at introspecting and examining what they've done and how to problem solve. You met Lord British? I did meet Lord British, and he gave me a tour of his office, which was really cool. He killed Tabula Rasa. I know, he was nice. He showed me his office. It was pretty cool. It's boxes and boxes of D&D files that he couldn't throw out because he was too attached to them. Very nice guy. And the other people on his team were very nice too. They helped me at a time when I didn't know what to do next. That I spent over $1,000 of my own money as a kid. I went all the way down to Texas from Wisconsin, and I went down, manually walked to a whole bunch of studios in the area with a giant heavy ass backpack and asked for a job. And I did not get a job. But I learned a lot from that trip. And I was able to meet Lord British. He was magically there at his Austin studio that day, which apparently he was not often there, because he was usually in like New York or something. And he sat me down with one of his programmers he'd been working on for decades, and they just helped me. They taught me, here's what you need to do, here's where we think that you're strong, here's some motivation, some guides and things like that. Very, very nice. Life-changing experience.
School really helps you not only build a foundation of knowledge,
Network.
but get evaluated by other people. And you can disagree with their evaluations, but if every class is evaluating you badly, you're probably the problem. It's not every single teacher. You have to learn how to learn.
Yes.
And school can help teach you how to learn. School helped me do all those things. And it put me in a environment which was conducive to learning. We were surrounded by a bunch of other people who are trying to learn.
That's important too, by the way, and it's one of the reasons why I think that remote learning is probably having a larger negative impact on newer generations than we realize. It's also one of the reasons why I still prefer working in office as opposed to remote work. I feel like the environment in an office with people who are doing game dev, it helps to motivate me and keep me on task. And maybe this is something that not everybody has a problem with, but for me it is. And I think that when everybody is just like-minded in the same space without external distractions of life or things happening at home, you tend to get better results from communication that I think you need to work extra hard at to prevent with remote learning or remote work.
You may have had a bad school, you may have had bad school experiences, in which case self-taught, or you may just be good at doing these things yourself. Okay, self-taught. But what I'm basically getting at is you have got to learn some skills and then apply them. And that's why I talk about demos. You have to learn by doing. You actually have to do something. You can't just think about it. You can't just read about it.
I have 20 great game ideas, but I just need to, write a bit more in the document before I feel like I can work on it. Don't just take an idea. Just take a shitty idea of yours and just start making it. And if you're new to game dev, you know what? You're not going to make that idea. You're not. It's not going to happen. But you will learn a lot trying to make the idea. You'll realize why the idea was too big for you to make, and you'll at least be able to jump into it again or jump into one of your other ideas that's a bit simpler that doesn't feel like you're hitting yourself against a brick wall. But if you never hit yourself against a brick wall, you're never going to make any progress. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Ooh, cut that.
You actually have to do it. And when you do it, you can see how hard it is. You can see what you're good at and what you're not good at. I've told so many people on this channel, just go make a demo. Make a demo. Oh, you have an idea? Make a demo. Oh, you want to get in the industry? Make a demo. Oh, you want to learn this game engine? Make a demo. You want to learn a new language? Make a demo.
Tim's a bit old school in this, though.
There are so many good reasons. First of all, people frequently tell me I'm worried about doing job interviews. I'm not good at job interviews. There's a lot of tough questions to answer. Well, making a demo will make a lot of those tough questions a lot easier to answer.
Yeah, I mean, he's right about that. Like, if you find it difficult to answer questions about what you do, you don't know what you're doing enough to be able to speak about it reflexively. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you are a really, really good designer or programmer or artist, those tough decisions become less, or tough questions become less and less difficult to answer over time. If somebody asks me in an interview, what do you define as good design? I don't even have to think about it. I can just start talking about the term of good design, how I feel that that's maybe a misleading question because, design is relative to the creation that you're making, to the pillars that you have, to your vision, to the market that's expecting it, to the platforms even sometimes. That's all relative. But if you're new to game design, maybe that question kind of stumps you. Like, oh, well, I think good design is like one that's really well documented or whatever. It's like the more the better you hone your skills by creating things, the more those become reflexive answers to you, and those questions don't become difficult. They just become, oh yeah, I've talked about this a million times. It's nothing new to me.
When someone in an interview asks you what language you prefer, if you've made demos in different engines on different languages, you can talk about the different features in those different languages and which ones you prefer and why. If people ask you what engines you like, you can say, well, I've worked in these 3 engines and this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like. This is what they made things easy to do here. They made things hard to do here. A very, very common interview question you're going to get is, what was one of the most difficult things you ever had to make? What feature was the most difficult one to implement in a game? Whether they're talking narrative, design, art, code, whatever.
Another common one is they will ask you about your past experiences and things that you think you could have done better, or areas where you feel that you failed. Because it's a really easy question to ask, and one where you can instantly tell if somebody has an ego or not, or is able to introspect and self-evaluate. If they say, well, I didn't make any mistakes. Yeah, you did. Shut the fuck up. Or if you're not able to say, well, I don't know, this was kind of shitty. It's like, well, then you haven't thought about it enough.
You can talk about that if you've made a demo. And you can give an actual grounded story saying, well, I was trying to do lighting and I wanted it to be dynamic, but this particular engine, this is how to handle dynamic lighting, and I tried this and I tried this. And you can talk about those
accurate
things.
Blame
and
the
my
tools.
guess is there will be at least one person in the interview, one of the other developers interviewing will be going, they've been through that.
Yes.
There is no engine out there that makes everything easy to do. There's always something that's a little difficult. And hearing you talk about it, not only is you talking about something that maybe you weren't that good at, but also what an engine wasn't good at, and that you have experience. But the biggest thing about making a demo is, like I said, you will learn things you're good at and things you're bad at. You can try to get better at the things you're bad at, and some of them you will, and then you can put them in the things I'm good at bucket. But there are some things you're going to try to get good at, And you're going to work on it and work on it and work on it, and you're never going to get better at it. And that's okay.
He's
You
right.
put that in the things you're bad at bucket.
And that's something that you need to accept when you are, especially being like a hobbyist developer or an indie developer, you are not likely to be the one out of a million that can do absolutely everything for your game perfectly. And you are not going to create the next Stardew Valley. Let's put it that way. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try, but that most likely, like me, like anyone in chat, if they're game devs, you're going to jump an engine, you're going to realize, oh, I suck at art. Oh, I suck at programming. Oh, I'm not that great of a game designer. That's fine. That's okay. You know, and he's like he said, you can try to get better at it. A lot of those things, though, if you spend the next 5 to 10 years trying to get amazing at that art that you're not good at, you might think that it's worth it, and that's not for me to decide. But at the same time, you could have spent those 5 to 10 years getting really good at the things that you enjoy and were already specialized in, and become one of the best in the industry at that thing. And maybe that's what you want. These are two paths that you can choose. But if you're trying to make money as a developer, you're trying to make it as a career, probably you don't want to dedicate your time to that thing. And you're better off finding people to work with that can augment your weaknesses. People who say, I fucking hate game design. I don't get it. I don't get how you make a game fun. But I can program. I'm really good at that. That's okay. And those are the people that I work well with, because it's like artists who don't know anything about game design, don't want to do balancing or systems or anything, but they are just masters at the visual space and creating 3D meshes and environment art or something. I love it. Because like, you do what you do, I'm going to do what I do, and together we can make a great game, right? That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of working with a team. Don't have such a big ego that you think that you can or will or should do everything alone, because you probably can't. Probably can't. Especially if, this can be a little bit mean, but especially if you think you can do good game design. If you're working alone in a team, maybe it's not too bad. You know, you're the one with the idea in your head. If you think that you can work in a team, but just know game design is a lot harder than it looks on the surface. It really is. It is a hell of a lot harder than it looks like on the surface. And you need to be a good communicator, an effective communicator, really good at documentation, really good at blueprinting, not like Unreal blueprints, but blueprinting as a methodology of communicating the ideas of your team and figuring out what it will take to get there, the necessary steps, the necessary assets, and how that's going to feel to the player from like the player's user experience, all these sorts of things. Those are things that you got to think about as a game designer, and it's all tough. Everybody's job in game dev is tough, requires a lot of specialization and effort.
Okay, you put that in the things you're bad at bucket, and you can talk about it. I can talk about writing and say, hey, you want me to write some short form lore text? I'm your guy.
Same.
You want it to be funny? I'm really your guy. Oh, you want dialogue between two characters? I'm not your guy.
Same.
And I know that. And I can point to examples of what I've done good at the former and bad at the latter. So what was all this about? And what was that whole story at the beginning about all my brothers and sisters? By making a demo and by actually using your skills to do things, you will learn where your mountaintop is. You will learn, this is my strength. This is what all my foundational skills build up to and make me good at. And on top of it, you have a demo to show people.
Yes.
And I think that, more than anything else, will be what will make you be able to perform well in a job interview, be memorable, and then get that job in the game industry. Make a demo.
I will augment Tim's maybe slightly older view on this. Make a demo, make anything, join a game jam. Like, just do any or all of these three. And I think that I recommend game jams only because not only will you work with people that can augment your weaknesses and teach you things that you didn't know, but you're also training yourself to work well in a group and adjust to people's deficiencies, right? You're going to be working with a wide variety of people, and you'll do this in the industry as well. And you need to adapt yourself to them and find ways to help them or have them help you in different scenarios. And I think game jams are quick. They're relatively painless or stress-free in the sense that you don't really have a milestone to reach that has a large impact if you don't reach it. Because if you don't make the game, if you don't finish the game by the end of the game jam, you can just finish the game after the game jam. Not like there's any worry here. So, but it forces you to think in timelines that are often seen in game dev where it's like, well, we have a 1 week sprint and we need to get this feature in the game. And in your case, it's we need to get a prototype made. So it trains you to rapidly prototype, to think about how to maximize fun in a very short amount of time with various constraints or themes or constraints from teammates, not necessarily engine or time, but like teammate abilities. And I think you'll learn at a very, very fast rate if you get into game jams. But everything else Tim said is great. Another fantastic video. I know I talked about a lot of bullshit there. Sorry, YouTube. If you guys like that video, go give him a like for that. He mentioned he was gonna learning lessons. Did we ever watch learning lessons from failure, or school versus self-taught? We'll see if we have time for that because we do have this games without end and new game plus that I want to get to. So we'll see how much time I have today. Either way, this was great. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for that one. Sorry that I went off on a lot of tangents in that video, but I hope that I provide some extra content, comments, and life experiences that maybe help to support the things Tim says, or in very rare cases, contradict things that Tim says if I disagree with him. Watching YouTube, thanks for that, and we'll see you in the next one.